Hey everyone, it's Jessica here with another layout for the Peartree Cutfiles design team. Today I'm using this Splash Zone cut file, which is an older cut file from the July 2022 release, I believe. And I'll link it below for you in case you want to grab that from the shop. And I have started out with this cool, fun Vicki Boutin background paper from the Where To Next collection. And I had this idea in my head for a few days. I was pondering and I just decided to go for it. So I really love this paper, but I really wanted to put another pop of color behind it. So I decided to use my X-Acto knife and cut portions of the black in the pattern paper so that I could roll down these edges. I don't know why or where this idea came from. It's just something that came straight out of my head, and I just thought it would look cool with just a different color back behind it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cut all of these and roll them down just so they're kind of random. And then I'm going to place my Splash Zone cut file over top. So I loved this blue, beautiful background paper, and I really wanted to see that peek through. So that's what I'm going to attach behind this. I'm just using my ATG gun to attach this down to the blue paper. And I wish I would have thought about this before I did this, but I want to draw a line around the outside edge of that, and I wish I would have done it before I attached it because it would have been a little bit easier, but I'll just add that in at a later time here. But first I'm going to finish backing this cut file, so I want to put a photo in the middle of the O of my boys playing in the mud at our campsite on one of our camping adventures. So I just used some Nuvo liquid glue and put on the back side of my O, and then I stick it right directly down to my picture, and then I just trimmed around it with my scissors. And then for the rest of this cut file, I am using the negative pieces of the cut file from the letters and placing them directly onto my paper that I want to back it with, which is this kind of yellowish orange background paper. And then I just simply trim around the letters, and I just keep a little bit of a border around them, so I have a little bit of wiggle room there to actually attach it to the cut file itself and put the adhesive on around the edges. And then with my photos here, as you can see, I've cut them all down using some dies and my Big Shot machine. I've pulled out my Ellie Studio dies. It's the little tag set, and I have cut my photos into these cute little tag shapes, and then I cut the little decorative piece for the tag also. So I'm just adhering those little pieces on there now with my Nuvo glue to finish those off. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish off my cut file by using that same glue to attach my letters. And again, I've cut them out with a little bit of an edge or a border around them so I have space to actually adhere them down to my cut file. So I do everything pretty much from the back side of it, and I kind of work that way. And then sometimes, as you saw with the front with the O, I actually work from the front of it so I can see exactly where my photo is going to go whenever I line that up. So there, I have also cut a outline for my cut file. So I wanted it to have a little bit of an outline of white just around the whole entire thing to kind of separate it because of that background paper being so busy. So I just used some white with just a very small outline. I think it was like 0.2 or something like that on my Cricut Design Space software. So then I'm just kind of smushing this down. I did pop it up with some 3D foam tape by ThermoWeb, but I'm smushing it down on the parts that hit those little rolls. So I actually just kind of flattened them out a little bit so it would sit on there nicely. And then here's where I wish I wouldn't have adhered that top rolled sheet onto it, because I really wanted to do some doodling around these edges. So it would have been a little bit easier if that wasn't already glued down, but it's okay. It worked out in the end because I didn't adhere down all of those white strips because I wanted them to stay kind of popped up and with a little bit of dimension and movement. So it worked out. And then with these little mud pieces, it's supposed to be water, obviously, because it's called Splash Zone. So I'm sure most people probably use this for like some pool time or running through the sprinkler or something like that, or a water park. But I am using it for these photos of my kids playing in the mud. So I am keeping this brown theme here going. I've just cut this file out of a wood grain paper. I think it was by Echo Park. So I'm just using the negative bits here from the insides, and I'm just popping them up with some foam tape and putting them back where they belong. So nothing too crazy or fancy there. But I do think I'm going to add some sequins on top of those because I really think those would look cool with some pops of sequin and sparkle on them. So I thought this little umbrella was perfect on here because they were playing in the wet mud and it had just rained. And I'm going to pop that right there. I did have to pop it up a little bit with some foam tape too because it sets a little bit on my cut file, which is already popped up. So I had to keep it popped as well. I'm going to add this little geotag here to kind of make my photo a little bit of a focal point there because it's in the middle of that. So I wanted to bring some attention to that. And then basically I'm just going through the rest of the embellishments in this collection. I'm not going to add a whole lot to this page because it's so busy already and it has so much going on and so much to look at. So I don't want to add a ton of embellishments to take away from my photos and that beautiful cut file. So I'm just going to add a few little bits here and there just to enhance the layout. So I found these cute little palm trees in the embellishment pack from, this is from the Sweet Rush collection actually, from Vicki Boutin. I actually pulled out lots of Vicki Boutin collections to use little random bits on this layout. Because I started with the Where To Next collection, but then I couldn't find a whole lot in that collection that went with these photos and my layout. So that's when I started pulling out other Vicki Boutin collections to go with it, because a lot of times her color schemes coordinate. So I found it was pretty easy to pull things from other collections to go onto this layout. So I've pulled some from Sweet Rush, and I think that one's Print Shop, and there might be, I don't think there's any color study in this one, but there could very well be. But I think I stuck with Print Shop, Sweet Rush, and the Where To Next collection. So I really like these little wordy bits. I'm gonna put a couple little things there. And as you can see, I'm running like a little bit low on that one side. So I've used up quite a bit of this collection, which makes me happy. That's one of my goals this summer, is to use up some of my stash. So I'm really, really trying. And then here, I'm just going to add a bunch of sequins. So this is a sequin mix from Catherine Poehler, which I'll link below so you have the name of it. It's a really pretty one, and I just love this mix. And I immediately, when I pulled this one out, knew that's exactly the one that I wanted to use on this layout, because the colors in it are just so pretty and they match this layout just perfectly, almost like it was made for this particular layout and these colors. So I'm just going to finish adding these. I'm going to add a bunch of these sequins to the mud drops as well to kind of make them sparkle, bring a little bit of sunshine and prettiness to those, because, you know, it's mud. So I want to make it look like it's a fun type of mud. So that's what it was for my boys. They were playing in the mud at our campsite and they were just having a grand old time. They got soaked, and I let them get soaked because they were having a blast. So you have to let them do that once in a while, right? So I'm just adding a few more sequins down here. Then I'm going to go ahead and move on to the mud drops themselves. I'm going to just layer them on the mud parts, and I have to kind of let each layer dry a little bit just to kind of keep layering them up and give them some dimension. So I do that in a couple parts. I kind of do just a little bit to start, and then I kind of move on to the next one and come back to it and add a little bit more layering. So it's a little bit tedious and time consuming, but I really, really love how the end result comes out. So you can see I'm kind of trying to layer them there when it's still wet, but it works a little bit better whenever you let them dry in between. So I'm going to fast forward this so you don't have to watch me do each individual mud drop here, because it does take me a little bit of time. I add a few more down here by my photos, and then that's going to finish this one off. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Again, I'll link that cut file down below for you in case you want to grab it from the shop, and I hope it inspired you to create something beautiful today. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.